believe it's been 9 days since our last show, and it has been busy in the NBA? LeBron James, he celebrated his 40th birthday on Monday, and on New Year's Eve, he became the first player in league history to play both as a teenager and as a 40-year-old. But the Lakers, they've cooled off a little bit. They hope that trade for Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton will give them a little boost here. But they're not the only team that's hit a little skid going into 2025. Look at this. The Warriors and the Suns, they're both 3-7 over their last 10. Steph Curry, he called his team mid. That's not really how you want to go into the new year. Those are going to be teams to watch very closely as we approach the trade deadline. But let's get to some good news, right? On the flip side, the Knicks, they're on a 9-game winning streak that's tied for their longest in a decade. And a big reason why is their defense. It's really caught up with their offense here. Both are top 5 in the league since December 1st. But the two hottest teams in the league, they are really starting to separate themselves from the pack here. Both Cleveland and OKC are 12-1 since December, and they have 5-game leads in their respective conferences. But while the Cavaliers, they may be running away with the East, and we do have Evan Mobley stopping by later in the show, confidence in the Celtics, it remains high. Boston has gone 8-6 over the past month and sits at plus 200 to repeat as champs. That is all according to ESPN Bet Sportsbook. And with that, Happy New Year, everybody. We're back like we never left. Shai Ogwumike, 3-time champ, Danny Green, Tim MacMahon is joining us for our first show of 2025. I'm Malika Andrews. And as we turn the calendar year, are you a resolution girl, Shai?
I'm a vision board. I made one already, yeah.
I love that. A little vision board. I know MacMahon's getting on his vision board already, too. But it's kind of the time, right? Excitement, yes. New beginnings, resolutions, a little bit of goal setting. In the NBA, since you've already laid out your vision board, Shai, what's your goal in the league?
I am really curious who will snatch the torch, because we ended the year with Steph Curry basically acknowledging that the end is near. Also, KD being reflective and LeBron James turning 40 years old. The next generation, it's their opportunity to really see who's going to be the next star, the next superstar, the next champion, the next dynasty. And I'm excited. We have a lot of potential candidates. SGA's having a tremendous year. You look at Luka Doncic. Of course, we've got Victor Wembanyama and, of course, Anthony Edwards. So who will – it's like the NBA, you think you pass the torch? No, you have to snatch it.
You have to take it. Do you have one that you're looking towards?
I'm more so looking for the team that's trying to get the torch. I mean, I love those players. I love Anthony Edwards that we talked about the summertime. But for me, I'm interested to see what teams make the moves to put themselves in position to challenge a Boston, to challenge a Denver or Dallas, those type of teams. So the teams I'm looking at trying to make some moves more so are like in the Western Conference in California. Talking about the Los Angeles Lakers, the Golden State Warriors, Sacramento Kings, who made changes with Mike Brown. But yes, the torch for the teams is more so my interest for the new year. But I do love to see what players are going to step up outside of Luka, Jokic,
but those two
younger
things
group.
are linked, right? It's when a team has success, it's a player that is sort of taking their team there. And then we're talking about the LeBrons, we're talking about the Kevin Durant's, the Stephs. It's winning multiple times. It's what really is the catalyst to become that guy, to become the next.
Yeah, and you've got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you've got Donovan Mitchell with their teams in position to make that sort of a run, make that sort of a claim. The Spurs aren't ready for that quite yet. But Victor Wembanyama, he might just reach one of those go-go gadget arms over the rest of that, and he's trying to snatch that torch. And I'm excited to see him continue to harness all of those gifts on the offensive end. Defensively, he's already dominated. He just had a monster month of December offensively. I'm excited to see if that continues.
I was already a believer in Victor Wembanyama, but Christmas Day just changed everything. I know he didn't get the win, but the statement individually, but then to follow that up with the off the court. Playing chess. Superstar might come in a unique form when it comes to him, but also when it comes to the next generation.
Right. 42 points, 18 rebounds on Christmas Day, on his first Christmas Day game. And then, as you were alluding to, Shai, he goes to New York City and asks on social media, does anyone want to meet me in Washington Square Park to play some chess? And fans showed up, and he played chess for hours in the rain with fans. He just gets it. So that's the positive. I'm looking forward to seeing what Victor's able to do. On the flip side, there's always some things that carry over from the previous year that you still have to deal with, even as you're trying to turn over a new leaf. Is there anything you're concerned about, Tim, going into 2025?
Well, clearly you have to be concerned about the Dallas Mavericks right now. And obviously Luka Doncic going down on Christmas with that calf strain. It's the 4th time he's had an injury to that calf over the last 4 years, the 2nd time this season. And they're going to be very careful with this. Obviously giving him time to recover, but then time to ramp up. Coming out of missing all of training camp in the preseason, his conditioning suffered. By his standards, that certainly factored into him getting off to a slow start. They want to make sure that he is in as good a shape as possible before he's back on the floor, because they don't want this to be something that reoccurs. And then with that, they've got to be careful about wearing down Kyrie Irving.
Right.
And honestly, it's Luka and Kyrie having them right for the playoffs as the priority, even more so than the playoff seeding.
I'm not as concerned. This is why you got Klay, even though Klay is not the same player he was 5 years ago or so, but he's still very good. Kyrie is very good, but they picked up Najee Marshall. You got P.J. Washington back. I'm not as concerned about Dallas. I said it before, I'm more concerned about the other teams in the West, but I think Dallas has enough. If Kyrie stays healthy with that shoulder, they can stay afloat. And obviously, it also depends on the strength of schedule. But they're not the team that I'm too concerned with. Luka will be back soon, but they have a lot of pieces and the experience from last year to stay set above water.
Okay, then what's the team, Danny?
The teams that I'm concerned about, as I mentioned, Sacramento, the biggest to me, and Golden State. Lakers, I think, need to make a move, but those two teams in Northern California.
A little bit.
They made a move.
Yeah.
I like the Finney-Smith move, but the Northern California teams are the teams I think have higher expectations, need to make a move right now.
So you guys went micro. I'm going to go macro. I think it's really interesting that the game in the NBA and basketball overall, it's always changing, but this might be the first time we start to appreciate maybe the old, meaning when it comes to the proliferation of the threes, maybe we're going to see the game moving forward going back to what we sort of knew the previous 2 decades or so, meaning more, physicality, more getting downhill. Like, how do you adjust back? That to me is going to be interesting.
Of course, Shai and the Thunder, they lost to the Bucks in the NBA Cup championship game, but guess what? Those don't actually count the standings. Look, but since then, Shai's bounced back in a big way, averaging nearly 35 points a game, dropping 40 or more in 3 of his last 7 games. Tim MacMahon, you were with Oklahoma City recently. You spoke to Anthony Edwards after the game about SGA, but can you just set up this conversation, because this is fascinating?
Yeah, I asked Ant, hey, what do you think of what you're seeing from SGA right now?
Yep.
And without hesitation, he said the MVP of the NBA. And then he went on and talked about how much he loves watching him. He's unguardable, just all the different things in his game. Now, he brought up Joker. And, because if you're talking about MVP, you got to bring up the guy who's going for the 4th in 5 years. Ant's thing was you can't keep giving it to him. That is a separate debate. Whether SGA is playing at an MVP level right now with the Thunder far and away the best team in the Western Conference, there's not a debate. He absolutely deserves serious consideration after being runner-up next year.
You have to bring up Joker because he's top 3 in scoring, rebounding, and assists. And last night he had 23, 17, and 15 and didn't even play in the 4th quarter. So what would it take for SGA to take that mantle? As Shanae's saying, you're not going to give it to him. You just have to go and take it.
Counterpoint to Anthony Edwards about you can't keep giving it to Joker. Yes, you can. Like you absolutely can't keep giving it to Joker. Like this, I think it would take SGA and that Thunder squad really putting a ton of distance between them and everybody else. I think you got to be up 8, 9, 10 games on the
They're on their way.
They are on their way to that. But also on top of that, I think for Jokic, you would really maybe have to have him miss a few games, because what he is doing when he's on the court with that Nuggets team, they're the 3rd best team in the league. When he's off the court, they're the Wizards. Like, this is the type of difference we're talking about with Jokic, and he's putting up Wilt Chamberlain numbers right now. So, I mean, it's hard to think. SGA absolutely deserves it, but it's just the wrong time because you're playing the same time as Jokic.
Okay, since we're playing devil's advocate here, is there a way, because you mentioned something in our pre-show call, isn't there a plus-minus case, though, for SGA as well?
Yeah, and obviously the Nuggets fall off the face of the planet when Joker's off the floor, right? But SGA, when he's on the floor, Oklahoma City's net rating plus 16.7, like historically dominant. Off the floor, it's a minus. 0.2, but still.
See,
my point is, the impact is undeniable. He's got the best plus minus in the league, the most points in the league, and he's got a triple-digit margin in both of those categories.
Look, as a voter, I'm very grateful. We have a couple more months to see what they do. But still, yes, I mean, Nikola Jokic, his numbers are mind-boggling. I still am. I'm a numbers girl, and I'm having trouble processing it. But when it comes to SGA, I think team success, his team being #1 in the West. So far, they have 84 wins over the last 2 seasons. The only team with more is the Boston Celtics. He's making a case where he averaged 33, 6, and 5 in December. He's doing what he needs to do on top of delivering without one of their star players. There is a real case. I mean, the numbers serve Jokic, but also the game serves SGA.
And also, Anthony Edwards doesn't dole out compliments like that. In a league that everyone says, oh, are people too friendly, Anthony Edwards does not fall into that category. He will go and try to take it to you every single time, but when give credit where credit's due, that's what he's doing. Is there anyone that you ever faced that you said, oh, yeah, he's unguardable?
The guy he looked up to, Kevin Durant.
Okay.
And he won MVP before for a reason. He's very unguardable. 7 feet, can shoot the ball, can draw fouls. Knew what he got to wherever he wanted to on the floor. Could get to the rim, finish over your bigs.
Yep.
You just can't stop.
So does SGA fall into that category yet for you?
I think he's very close.
NBA